We're back at the Great Lakes Public Forum. Right now I'm joined by Charlie Wooley, who's the Midwest Deputy Regional Director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. Charlie, thank you so much for being here.
Honored to be here, Nam.
And I really wanted to talk to you about invasive species and Asian carp.
Okay.
First, what are invasive species and why is it important to know about Asian carp?
Right. Invasive species are species that come into a country uninvited. They're not native. They usually come in and wreak havoc with the native fish and wildlife in that country or in that area. So we want to make sure that we don't have these kind of species getting into the Great Lakes. And that's the emphasis on Asian carp. We have Asian carp in areas outside of the Great Lakes, but we do not, under any circumstance, do not want to see Asian carp get into the Great Lakes because they'll outcompete our native sport and commercial fish. The Great Lakes has about a $7 billion recreational and commercial fishery right now, and we do not want to see that impacted by Asian carp getting in and impacting that wonderful sport and commercial fishery. It's very important to both countries.
What can Asian carp do to other fish?
Asian carp would come in, and we've seen this in other areas of the country, and they'll outcompete our native fish. The females have a tremendous amount of eggs in them. Those eggs hatch, those small fish eat the bacteria and the phytoplankton and everything that our native fish need to eat, and that will impact the survival of our native fish. We don't want to see that happen in the Great Lakes.
And there's different types of Asian carp?
Yes, in the United States, we're really concerned about silver and bighead carp. We also, as we start transitioning and starting to look at the Great Lakes, we also add grass carp to that equation. So we have grass carp in a couple of areas in the Great Lakes right now, but it's silver and bighead that we definitely want to keep out of the Great Lakes, and we do not want to see them get into anywhere, either the United States or Canada, in the Great Lakes.
And how could they get into the Great Lakes?
There are a couple of areas. The one area that's possible that they could get in, they're found right now in the United States in the Mississippi River, and the Illinois waterway system goes up through Chicago, and it's possible they could get up through the Illinois waterway system and into the Great Lakes, particularly southern Lake Michigan. But right now, the Army Corps of Engineers has built an electrical barrier about 30 miles south of Lake Michigan. That will be a deterrent for those Asian carp moving into the Great Lakes. The good thing is that Asian carp are about 30 miles south of that electrical barrier right now. They haven't moved much in the last 4 or 5 years, and we're hoping that the population just stays there, stabilizes, and does not move towards the electrical barrier to possibly probe the barrier. We're at a good place right now.
Can we eat Asian carp?
Yeah, Asian carp are very popular in China. There is a small market in the United States. Unfortunately, they're very bony, so that makes it tough for people to eat them because we're used to fish that don't have bones like walleye and salmon. But there is a small market in the United States.
And how much money do you think has been spent by your organization so far on trying to keep them out of the Great Lakes?
In the United States, we spend between $40 and $50 million a year keeping them out of the Great Lakes. A lot of that is money that's come from the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, from the Obama administration, but another part of that money comes from base funding to federal agencies. So we have base funding and Great Lakes Restoration Initiative money. It's anywhere between $40 and $50 million a year.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money, but the Great Lakes, again, they support a $7 billion recreational and commercial fishery, and we don't want to see that fishery impacted at all by Asian carp. So every penny we spend is well worth it to keep them out of the Great Lakes.
Do you think we should just learn to like Asian carp?
We should probably learn to like them if they come out of an aquaculture pond down south in the United States, but we don't want to learn to like them if they get into areas that we don't have any Asian carp in right now, like the Great Lakes. It's just the trade-off is not worth it. In the Great Lakes, we have whitefish and walleye and salmon and lake trout. They provide a tremendous amount of great recreational and commercial fishing and opportunities for us to eat them. Let's stick with eating our native fish.
And what do the invasive species overall do to the Great Lakes?
The Great Lakes would be impacted by Asian carp getting in, and they would outcompete these great native sport fish and recreational and commercial fish that we have, like sturgeon and whitefish and walleye and salmon. So we don't want to see them coming in and outcompeting our native fish and the fish that are extremely valuable to all of us in the Great Lakes.
Charlie, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Nam. My pleasure. Thank you.
Now we're going to go back to the live stream as the Great Lakes Public Forum continues. Thank you.